Have you ever been at the end of your rope? Maybe not in a literal fire, but we've all felt hopeless and helpless at times of our lives, and then at just the right moment, someone shows up for us. A good friend shows up. Now, we all innately, we know this, that being a good friend isn't just showing up when things are great, but it's showing up in all seasons of someone's life. And here's what we know to be true, is that a good friend shows up when you need them the most. And here's what I believe. I believe that most of the time when we don't show up for somebody, it's actually not intentional. Most people don't wake up and say, man, who can I disappoint today? We don't do that. We thought we might have been showing up for somebody in a certain way, but they actually needed something else. But there are some real things that get in the way of us showing up for our friends, because sometimes we don't show up for people because we don't know the reality of their lives because they have not shared. Listen, don't expect others to know what is going on in your life if you're hiding everything. And that's why today it matters so much, because if we're going to be the kind of friends God calls us to be, we've got to move past the digital gestures and learn how to truly show up when it counts. The first thing that a good friend does is they show up with their presence. And listen, showing up for our friends will require us to be inconvenienced. It will require us to cancel our plans. It will require us to get out of our rhythms. It will require you to miss a workout. Because being present with people who are at the end of their rope will require us to be inconvenienced. A good friend shows up with their words. And I'm not talking about any words. I'm talking about heartfelt, supportive words that don't just fill silence, but that provide hope. Presence matters, but the right words matter too. Not a lot of words. Not just any words, but helpful words. Here's something that we often say: I know how you feel. Do you? You might have gone through a similar situation, but usually you don't know exactly how they feel because every situation is unique. Maybe something better to say instead of that is, I can't imagine what this feels like, but I care deeply and I'm here for you. We've all said this. I know I've said this to people who have lost a loved one. We've said things like, hey, they're in a better place. While this may be theologically true, it minimizes a person's pain in that moment. I think a more productive or supportive thing to say in that moment might be, hey, I know how much you miss them. It's okay to feel that. That validates what they're feeling. Another thing that we say all the time, especially as believers, we say, hey, everything happens for a reason. And can't that sound like dismissive, like you're trying to explain away somebody's pain? Maybe something better to say instead of that is, some things don't make sense right now. I'm just here to walk with you through it. With that statement, you meet them right where they're at. We've also said things like, hey, you'll get over it, or time heals all wounds. Some things you never get over. You just learn how to deal with a new reality, and time alone doesn't heal. It's what you do with that time that does. So maybe something better to say is, take all the time you need. I'm here whenever you're ready to talk. I've heard people say when somebody loses a loved one, they say something like, God needed another angel. Look, this can distort someone's picture of who God is and invalidate their sadness. Maybe something better to say is, hey, I don't have the right words. I just know God is with you in this. Or we say things like, it could be worse, or at least you still have fill in the blank. And let me tell you something, comparison never comforts, and it oftentimes minimizes what's been lost, and it makes people feel guilty for being sad. And maybe something better to say is, nothing can replace what you've lost. I'm here to listen. And number 3, a good friend shows up with an invitation. We invite them to our home. We invite them to a meal. We invite them to take advantage of resources that's going to help them through a certain situation. Christmas reminds us that God showed up for us by sending his only son to us and for us. And no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, or what overwhelming situation you are facing, God came to this earth for you. This week, let's show up by being present with people. And let's support them with our words, and let's invite them into what God has for their lives.